Hey there, folks. I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse. And yeah, we're nearing the end of the Billboard year, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. So this is how the Billboard year will end for 2022? Really? I'll get more into this when we talk about year-end lists in a month or so on my main channel. And side note, Billboard, I know your dating for year-end lists has had a skew this far into November before, but come on, you can add a 53rd week for calendar catch-up. But I also can't be the only one who thinks that this year has been something of a disappointment. So many album bombs, so much noise, but so little impact. And while it looks like we got some breathing room this week before next Billboard year starts with Drake and 21 Savage, I would honestly prefer if it all got caught up in one bad Billboard year just to get it the hell over with. But in the meantime, our top 10, where to my pleasant surprise, Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift held at number 1 for a second week, and the margins are shockingly narrow. It dominates streaming, but the radio and sales haven't quite caught up with defining it as a massive hit just yet. And that matters because she's got some real competition with the song debuting at number 2, Lift Me Up by Rihanna. As usual, I'll get into more details of the song later on, but the sales are enormous. It's getting the sort of insane radio push that only artists like Rihanna get. It'll be fascinating to see how it'll hold up next week against more competition. Then we get a bunch of songs forced out by Taylor last week, muscling back in. Unholy by Sam Smith and Kim Petras at number 3, where it's got traction pretty much everywhere, but especially on the radio. Bad Habit by Steve Lacy at number 4, where it already had entrenched radio, but it's faltering elsewhere. And As It Was by Harry Styles at number 5, which seems to be finally on its way out thanks to the radio and free fall. Then we have Taylor Swift holding another 2 slots courtesy of strong streaming for Lavender Haze at number 6 and Midnight Rain at number 7. And thank God they held up over I Like You a Happier song by Post Malone and Doja Cat at number 8, even though its radio is very much dying off as well. Next we got Bejeweled by Taylor Swift at number 9, thank the video for that one holding on. And scraping back into the top 10, we got Super Freaky Girl by Nicki Minaj at number 10, which seems to have upward radio momentum at last, but it might be too little too late, especially given what's likely coming. And that takes us to our losers and dropouts, where it's a surprisingly muted week, especially post-album bomb. Part of it is just not enough competition to beat out Swift right now, but there were only 2 major exits, with She Likes It by Russell Dickerson and Jake Scott very close to a year-end list spot for some ungodly reason, and Glimpse of Us by Joji comfortably clinching it, although it could well return next week given how well Joji's album is performing. But as expected, the majority of our losers are from Taylor Swift, although she had no songs from the album bomb completely leave the Hot 100, and that says a lot about that project's staying power. Nevertheless, Snow on the Beach with Lana Del Rey hit 16, You're on Your Own Kid hit 20, Vigilante Shit hit 24, Question fell to 32, Mastermind hit 38, Labyrinth hit 42, Sweet Nothing hit 45, Would've, Could've, Should've hit 59, Bigger Than the Whole Sky fell to 68, The Great War lost to 71, Paris fell to 73, High Infidelity slid to 79, Glitch hit 86, and Dear Reader landed at 97. Then we had the remains of the Lil Baby album bomb continue to slide away. California Breeze at 55, Forever with Friday at 64, Real Spill at 82, Never Hating with Young Thug at 85, and Stand On It at 89. But the rest are scattered. Monotonia by Shakira and Azuna lost off the debut to 77, and we just saw continued losses for Better Get Money by Young Gravy at 94, and Evergreen by Omar Apollo at 100. But the returns and gains are a little bit more interesting here, because this tracking week overlapped with Halloween, and thus we saw the seasonal returns. Thriller by Michael Jackson back at 26, Monster Mash by Bobby Boris Pickett at 47, and Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. at 49. But they weren't the only returns. Hotel Lobby Few by Quavo and the sadly now past Takeoff returned to 78, and BZRP Music Sessions Volume 52 by Bizarre Rap and Quevedo refuses to die at 99. And as for our gains, well, outside of As It Was and Super Freaky Girl back in the top 10, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that off the debut we saw spikes for Miss You by Oliver Tree and Robin Schultz at 84, and Made You Look by Meghan Trainor up to 63, but I can't say I'm happy about those, nor am I all that pleased that Music for a Sushi Restaurant is getting another boost to 62, or Unstoppable by Sia rose up to 39. You'd be shocked how much radio this goddamn song has, because apparently 2016's leftovers are what works in 2022. At least in the past viral hits, Die For You by The Weeknd's up to 27. For some reason, it has radio support and has outperformed several better songs from Dawn FM. No, I'm not bitter. But that leaves us with a shockingly reasonable list of our new arrivals. Unfortunately, starting with number 96, 300 Blackout by Kodak Black.
Everybody know me round my way, I'm a bonafide gangster gunslinger. I let it all broad day, them niggas will point fingers.
I can't be the only one who is just thoroughly sick of Kodak Black by now, right? I've had to think about this guy entirely too much throughout the course of 2022, and it's never for his goddamn music, which here consists of a single extended verse over a pitched up sample and a rumbling trap groove with admittedly an impressively fat and well-produced low end. But it's all circling around Kodak Black, whose flows might be tighter, but I still don't like his nasal vocals, his rhyming still feels slapdash, and his content still doesn't have a lot of depth. You'd think for as much as he wants to stay out of jail now and stack money, that his murderous impulses would wind up getting curbed, but nope. I mean, I guess it could have been worse. This is the one song crossing over from that album that dropped, and he is the type that he could have had an album bomb, but I'm sorry, I got no desire to revisit this. Even if by Kodak standards, not bad. Number 92, Ain't Safe by Trippie Redd and Don Toliver. And a friend came down for Rio. She done moved in with a whole kilo, And speaking of artists that I'm thoroughly tired of hearing from, Trippie Redd has another A Love Letter to You project in the works, and given that I thought we had all come to grips with his stark limitations as an artist, that we would have moved on by now, especially after last year. But here he is, pulling in Don Toliver for the hook, and why do I get the feeling that someone's copying notes from Rod Wave, with the piano, the horns, Don Toliver trying to bring more soul into his voice, to say nothing of the messy bass mixing? And you know what? Don Toliver can actually sell stuff in this lane, but Trippie Redd then starts shouting about brand names, purple drank, and shooting people, and he just does not meet the mood of the song. Shame, because otherwise, this can be a sound I like. But this is not a great version of that. Number 51, The Astronaut by Jin. There is no like this year's been less about BTS as a whole and more about how much staying power all their solo members can amass. So now we've got Jin, with this cut co-written with Coldplay and produced by Kygo of all people. And alright, outside of Chris Martin all over the backing vocals, it really does reflect all of that creative DNA. The glittery synth playing around the central guitar line that plays off a bouncy but incredibly smooth groove, the slightly overprocessed vocals, the broadly sketched love story tracing a lot of space symbolism that's clearly going for universal appeal. And honestly, I kind of like it for a lot of the reasons I enjoyed My Universe, that last Coldplay and BTS collab. It's soaring, it's earnest, and even if it is kind of too polished, it feels sincere from them. And yeah, I ultimately think this is a good song. Worth checking out. Number 23, In My Head by Juice WRLD. From my past, I have all this trauma. Getting cash off the racks on my problem. It's been nearly 3 years since Juice WRLD passed away. Can we please stop? Hell, this song was first teased back in August of 2019. You cannot tell me this sort of strip mining of his archives and demos isn't just exploitative. And for a song like this, where it feels like repeated fragments were stitched together with clunky filler words left in, and where Juice WRLD once again hit the notes of stacking cash and smoking as hopefully an escape for the trauma, and that doesn't materialize. The whole draft feeling of the song is hard to escape. Now, yeah, the production's a little bit better than you might expect. The guitars and trap percussion are actually reasonably well balanced this time, but it's hard to escape how mercenary this release is, and that leaves a really sour taste in my mouth regardless. Skip it. Number 11, Shirt by SZA. we were going through this around the same time last year with the question of that mysterious SZA album that we should have gotten by now. Well, anyway, a snippet of this song went viral on TikTok. It looks like they actually got a proper release this time. And I gotta be honest, I'm kind of torn on it. The first thing you'll notice is how oppressively loud the bass beat is. It's well blended against the very muted melodic swells in SZA's voice, but it overpowers the mix in a way that doesn't quite create that nocturnal atmosphere that SZA's trying to cultivate as she finds comfort in her self-destructive vices and darker impulses, not helped by a guy that she just can't get out of her mind. I don't know, I think SZA's delivery and the writing is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, and I'm kind of reminded of the slightly clunkier cuts on Control that had similar issues, so yes, I will call this mostly good, just maybe not great. At least not yet. And finally, number 2, Lift Me Up by Rihanna.
Hold me down.
I think absence has made the heart grow fonder with Rihanna. She went to oversaturating pop in the mid-2000s to the mid-2010s and then effectively dropped off the map. And given how successful Fenty seems to have been, the only way she's going to go back to making music is on her own terms, if she wants to or if she manages to find the time. But we got a cut from the new Black Panther Wakanda Forever soundtrack, a power ballad co-written by Thames and produced by Ludwig Göransson, and if I gotta be honest, you can kind of tell that it is. It feels a bit broadly sketched in the piano and plucky acoustics feel a bit too clean, and you can tell they are leaning really hard on Rihanna's performance and the backing vocal swell to really put this over the top. And let's make this clear, Rihanna sounds great, more revitalized and in control of her delivery than ever. There's a clarity and power to her vocals that we rarely get. That's impressive. But it's hard to escape the feeling that this composition is relying a lot more on the novelty of Rihanna's return than a composition that can't quite hit that next gear. Or maybe it'll have much more potency in the context of the movie. I'm not sure. I do think it's good. Maybe I was just hoping for something that would hit a little harder. That's all for now. But you know what, if we're going through the week, I think the Astronaut by Jin is going to get the top spot for me, followed by an honorable mention for Shirt by SZA. I get the feeling that latter song, it's going to grow on me, I just need the right environment for it. Now the worst, yeah, I gotta be honest, it's In My Head by the late Juice WRLD. It annoys me enough that I don't even need a dishonorable mention this week. But speaking of annoying, we got a Drake and 21 Savage album bomb to open up the next Billboard year. Unless Billboard somehow changes their rules and counts us a 53rd week, stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse. And I'll see you next time.